I have very controversial opinions here. I think when you start your company, the culture of your company is more or less the personality of the CEO, and that's it. Nothing else. Okay? And as a result of that, by extension of that, that means also recursively, like if you have a leader that runs this whole department, the culture of that department is that leader. And it's kind of recursive all the way down, right? And just to prove that, because that might seem really like controversial to people, like, oh, I thought it's the cultural principles, or like I read about these like, the Netflix deck or something like that. But if you look at it, what I'm saying is that Bill Gates, Microsoft, is a very different culture from Steve Ballmer, Microsoft, which is a very different culture from Satya Nadella, Microsoft, right? So it's like literally the personality. And if you can get along with Satya now and you operate the way he likes to operate, you're going to be successful with him. And if you operate probably the way you would do with Steve Ballmer, it's not going to work great. And then it's turtles all the way down. So my key thing is this. Can you formalize that? So make culture principles out of that. Then you're giving people the cheat sheet of how they can succeed in your company. Okay? So culture is just, can you write down what those are, those things that make the CEO. By the way, I believe at Amazon, this is how they came up with their 11 and then now 13 leadership principles. I think initially Jeff Bezos just wanted one, which is leaders are right. And then eventually they studied how he does things and they kind of try to replicate his personality, and that became the leadership principles, I believe. But so if you codify them, you're giving the cheat sheet to the employees to know like, hey, here's how it is working with me. So you're making their life easier. Okay? When you're codifying those principles, you can lie to yourself and pretend you're someone you're not. That's not going to go well. You're misleading the employees. So, Ben Horowitz has a great book. I think I always screw up the title. I think it's You Are What You Do or something like that, which means it's what you do. That's who you are, not what you say or what you think you should be. So write down properly who you really are. Introspect that. Write down those as the culture principle, okay? Second, after you've done that, make sure that you are promoting people and making them successful in the company if they follow the culture principles. Third, hire people according to the culture principles. Fourth, manage people out according to culture principles. If you do these, you will have a consistent culture.
And these principles are your values, because before there was also a takeaway of diversity.
Yeah.
You don't want everybody to look like you.
Yeah.
But you do want everybody to look like you along certain values.
Yeah, you can't have a CEO that's super introverted and quiet and maybe passive aggressive, which, by the way, believe it or not, there are successful CEOs that have that personality trait that I know. And then you hire a sales leader that's like the polar opposite. They're not going to be able to work well together. So there's certain values you need to have in common to work. This is what all these business books call is the person a culture fit or not?
But I just want to make sure that the takeaway is clear. So there's certain values that are sacred, that are through lines for the whole organization.
Yeah.
But then you want diversity for skills or...
Yeah, let me tell you what the culture principle at Databricks is so you get a sense. Yeah. But really, they're like, we came from research. We're research personality, the seven people that started the company. It's really those values that all of us kind of had. We work from first principles. We added that. Yes, I know earlier that we should broaden it. But it's still, if you look at Databricks, it's going to be a company that largely works from first principles. We're very picky about who we hire. So we have a culture principle called raise the bar, don't settle on hiring. Because we saw a lot of people successful leaders coming from other companies, and we were constantly fighting each other. We couldn't get along. We were like, that person is no good. And they're like, no, they're amazing. And so that's a culture principle for us. We're truth-seeking, which comes from the research background. Like, we're very tell it as it is, be honest about it. We don't that's not common in the industry. A lot of execs in the industry, they like to present a nice, executive presence, nice, rosy picture of how things are going. Those people don't work out at Databricks. But it's really like my personality and my co-founder's personality that we've codified.